Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. Excuse me. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I believe is the most unfaithful zodiac sign. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is as far as Aries goes, well, Aries can be very impatient, but at the same time can be very single-minded. If they have that partner that's very spontaneous and action-oriented, they could be actually pretty loyal, I would say, in their connections, because even though it's a cardinal sign, again, they have a lot of single-minded focus, and if it's that right person, they will, I believe they will stick with them, but the partner has to be spontaneous and have, some exciting quality to him or her and very activity oriented. Aries will often stand up for others when other people will do not, and that includes significant others. So it's hard for me to say they'd be the most unfaithful, but anyway. Now going to Taurus. Well, Taurus, certainly, it would be hard for me to say they would be the most unfaithful. I think they may unequivocally be the most faithful of the zodiac signs. They're known for their stubbornness. They'll often stay in relationships, actually, that are detrimental to them due to their unbound loyalty and steadfastness. Taurus, embodies a lot of trust. They're very trustworthy and steadfast and stable, and they have a lot of persistence and patience and perseverance in their connections. And I think, again, Taurus will even stay in relationships that are adverse to them. They're often, they often sacrifice, themselves in the connection and even their own happiness, I believe, in a lot of instances. So it's hard for me to say they'd be the most unfaithful. But going to Gemini, well, Gemini certainly can be a viable candidate for being the most unfaithful of the zodiac signs. It is a dual sign. They are an air sign as well. They're mutable in air. They kind of go with the wind, and they're not exactly known for desiring deep connections. Gemini can be very mercurial and vacillating. There's a lot of restless energy connected with Gemini, and that could also be tied in to deep connections as well. Gemini obviously disdains monotony, and they really, some commitment can put Gemini in a state of trepidation. And keep in mind, looking at this as well, Gemini can also be rather superficial, and sadly the need for variety and activity with Gemini can often supersede others' feelings, and they are very often averse to a deep commitment because it gets away from their variety in their life. So anyway, but I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it's them or not. Now, whether I think it's Gemini or not. Now, going to Cancer. Well, Cancer, and on the surface, it seems like they could be a candidate given that they are very temperamental, moody, and fickle. Yet, Cancer may irrebutably love stronger than the other signs on average. I understand they're not ruled by Venus, but Cancer will put so much love in a relationship. That's why they get hurt so easily. I think when others can't love even half of what they're willing to give in the love department. But the thing about it is, though, Cancer can incline toward promiscuousness, but I think it's more if they're not in a committed connection. If Cancer is not in a situation when they have a significant other where they're somewhat allowed to kind of just see whoever, then that situation is such they can incline toward promiscuous behavior, but I don't think that much in terms of if they're actually in a committed situation. So Cancer can be a candidate, but I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it's them or not. Now going to Leo. Well, Leo is known for their ferocity. They can love with ferocity as well. They often have fierce loyalty. It's hard for me to say that Leo would be the most unfaithful of the zodiac signs. Leo can be very magnanimous and generous, and that includes how they can act in their relationships. They often they do things very loudly. Often they can love in a very loud and vociferous manner. They will let others know very loudly who their significant others. See, Leos are about their sunny disposition. They want to brighten people's lives, not darken it by being philanderers or what have you, or cheating. So I don't really see Leo as the most unfaithful zodiac sign. Now going to Virgo. Well, Virgo, even though it's mutable, could very well be the most stable of the mutable signs. Now, the thing about Virgo, they're very punctual and reliable in situations, and that can include their relationships as well. They're often about being very proper. And the thing about Virgo is they're often, the fact that they're very frugal, sometimes downright parsimonious, can actually indicate that play in their favor in terms of as far as not cheating on somebody, because sometimes it takes money to actually cheat. And the thing about Virgo is they're known for doing what's proper and being scrupulous. The thing about Virgo, what would lead them to cheat, though, I think, is the fact that they could be very critical and judgmental, and they're very particular about their partner. And if the partner is not living up to their standards, then that could show the propensity to cheat at that point. But generally, I would not put Virgo as the most unfaithful of the zodiac signs. Now going to Libra. Libra can be very fair-minded, equitable in their relationships. They have basically, because they're so balanced in nature and about justice and the law and what have you, I think their philosophy, a lot of Libras are like, well, you know what, if you're faithful to me, I'm going to be faithful to you as well. But let's say the opposite happens and they're dealing with some promiscuous partner that's sleeping around and being a philanderer, going to this person, going to that person, then they might start to think, well, you know what, it's an eye for an eye, I'm going to perhaps do the same thing, and that's going to be justice in my mind. So the thing about it is, at the same time, I wouldn't say Libra would be the most unfaithful of the zodiac signs, given a lot of what they do is predicated on how the partner treats them. Now going to Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, of course, being a fixed sign, they're very fixed and willful and very intractable. They're very passionate in their connections and can be very loyal to whoever it is, whoever their significant other might be. Now, the thing about Scorpio, though, is they would be inclined to infidelity if they are cheated on, and I think to more of an extreme nature than in contrast to Libra. When I talk about the eye for an eye with Libra, Scorpio, it's more vengeful energy, more vindictive energy. It's kind of like if you cheat on Scorpio, they might actually connect themselves with more than one other person, as far as as extramarital affairs may go, because they just you do something to Scorpio, they'll often find a very strong way to exact vengeance on you, and they'll hurt you more than you actually hurt them, because Scorpio's sexual nature is so exorbitant. That's what can make them unfaithful. But at the same time, given that it's so fixed and willful energy, it'd be very hard for me to say that they would be the most unfaithful. But the thing that would make them cheat, a lot of it is just their strong, exorbitant sexual nature. In fact, if somebody's not satisfying it, then they might be inclined to cheat, or, as I stated before, out of vengeance. So anyway. Well, next up is Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius certainly can be the viable candidate to be the most unfaithful of the zodiac signs. They're it's a mutable sign. They can be very adventurous and flighty. They're hard to physically pin down. And the thing is, they're in a connection, being the fact that they're the explorers of the zodiac, basically. If a relationship becomes stagnant, they might seek greener pastures, so to speak. Sagittarius has an expansive nature, and they might be inclined to expand their horizons if a situation becomes overly boring or stagnant or monotonous or what have you. So they're definitely a candidate for the most unfaithful zodiac sign, but I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it is them or not. Now going to Capricorn. It would be hard for me to say that Capricorn would be the most unfaithful of the signs. They're known to be very consistent and like things very regimented. They often will not act without protracted premeditation. And the thing about it is, what I'm getting at is, even if they find out, like say if they've been cheated on, they'll often, think very long and hard before whether they might do the same thing to that other person or not, or even in a situation if they feel, there's some reason they have some animosity toward their significant other and they're debating over the cheating that they'll think really a long time before doing so, and they're very prudent and cautious and very disciplined. And the fact that they have that strong discipline makes it hard for me to think that they would be the ones that would be the most unfaithful. And they're very serious too, and they're often very serious about their commitments. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, given that they are very serious and they're very mature about their commitments, it would be hard for me to say they would be the most unfaithful. But anyway, of the zodiac signs. Now going to Aquarius. Aquarius is interesting. They're very fixed. They're very. It's a fixed sign. Being, of course, they are. This is a sign that could be very unpredictable, and even though it's fixed, it could be very sporadic and erratic, and again have that strong unpredictability. But Aquarius will often remain faithful and devoted as long as their freedom and independence is not inhibited. Aquarius often likes to have their friends, so if they're in a situation with a significant other, they have a sexual partner, they often like to maintain their friendships as well. And if they feel that that spouse is not allowing that to happen, then there may be an inclination perhaps to cheat. At that point, if their independence and freedom is inhibited. And the thing about but given that Aquarius, again, they are being a fixed sign, they are ones where I would say it'd be hard pressed for me to say that they would be the most unfaithful of the zodiac signs. And those are really those are some things to look at as far as Aquarius goes. But now going to Pisces. Well, Pisces can be notorious for their sensationalism. They are a mutable sign. They often are ambivalent. They can go in a multitude of directions. Sometimes this could manifest in going in different directions in their relationships. Keep in mind, Pisces is also easily duped and manipulated, and that could be somebody trying to convince them that they don't belong with their particular significant other. And Pisces has a tendency to be gullible, and they'd be more inclined to be dissuaded from whoever they're with, and inclined more to cheat. And also, keep in mind, Pisces also, out of all the zodiac signs, I believe has the greatest propensity toward drugs and alcohol, being ruled by Neptune being one of their rulers. And of course, there's a connection with betrayal in that, as well as Neptune is associated with that. And so they're definitely a candidate to be the most unfaithful. But I'm going to tell you who I think that the zodiac sign is the most unfaithful. I'm going to go with Gemini. Because Gemini, it's the fact that I give Gemini the nod, for example, over Pisces, because Pisces is a worse sign. Pisces has more compassion than Gemini on average. They're more about feelings, and they're less inclined to do something that would actually hurt significant others' feelings. Gemini can be averse to emotion. They could actually see emotion as a weakness, in contrast to Cancer, the zodiac sign Cancer often see it as a strength. See, with Gemini, their activity and variety often will supersede and surpass others' feelings. Remember that they're symbolized by the twins. There's such strong duality in Gemini. Gemini may often feel like they need to have two of something to really feel complete, to have things going. Like it could be two connections going on simultaneously. Keep in mind that Gemini is mutable and air. Mutable is changeable, fickle energy. Air is unpredictable because air can go in whatever direction it's pulled in at the time. And again, in going over, as far as I think Gemini would be more unfaithful than Sagittarius even on average, because keep in mind that Sagittarius is about the law and the truth and veracity. Gemini is the opposite of Sagittarius. Gemini is the antithesis of Sagittarius. Gemini is could be more adversarial toward what the law and the truth is. And the thing about it is, because of that, those are some reasons why, I would go more with Gemini in terms of being the most unfaithful as opposed to Sagittarius, and even Pisces. The thing about it too is there's a mischievous quality with Gemini as well. That Gemini, I think there's something about Gemini that likes that's mischievous, and they like the challenge of doing something that they can get away with. Sadly, I had a friend of mine that was a Gemini sun and ascendant, and he had been involved, cheating on his significant other, and he said something. He was boasting about it one time. He said, he's like, oh, quote, I get away with everything, unquote, or something. And he grinned when he said, like, he took pride in this. And see, the Gemini, their virtue is different often than other people's. Another Gemini rising friend of mine had said one time, somebody confronted him about cheating, and he blew it off like it was not a big deal. He said, oh, we fooled around like it was something insignificant. And the thing is, I'm not stereotyping Gemini by any means. I'm sure there's a lot of faithful Geminis out there, and a lot of it is predicated on the rest of your chart. If you have strong fixed energy, or if a chart signature that's in like Taurus or something, or a Taurus sun, moon, or ascendant, these things will modify certain Gemini qualities anyway. And Gemini is actually, they may often be searching for that elusive love, and the thing about it is, if they do really find somebody that they can really connect with, perhaps they can be more loyal and steadfast, but in that connection. But Gemini just can't help, I think, but be more inclined to cheat, because they are it's that restless, inquisitive nature. They always, the grass kind of looks greener on the other side of the fence, or however that expression goes with Gemini, more often than the other signs. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for what I believe is the most unfaithful zodiac sign. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.